All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining to this Fire Chat Friday for May 19th. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Morgan Rubinow. She was detailed behind me for the last couple months, and she was the host of the two previous Fire Chat Fridays. Great job for her and everyone joining that. So thank you, Morgan, for filling in behind me and doing a great job on those Fire Chat Fridays. We are going to put a little bit of a different spin on our Fire Chat Fridays. We want a lot of the peer-to-peer influence from the field on our conversations. We had a lot of great national office speakers, and we still will, but we want a lot of folks from the field too as well. So you'll see a lot more peer-to-peer folks from the field, crews, dispatch, support roles, joining our sessions as our SMEs, providing the information to you guys. We have a panel of speakers today talking about, are you ready for fire season, or fire year, what we call it, 2023, and are you prepared? There's a lot of different ways we can get prepared for the fire year, and our panel of experts is just going to give us a little bit of insight. Some of the stuff you already know. Obviously, we know we need to have good nutrition, good rest, making sure all of our admin stuff is prepared, our emergency contact sheets, but just a little bit of awareness and things that maybe you didn't know. And also things to maybe just do that self-check in the preparing for fire year, during fire year, and then as you close out the fire year. So like I said, a lot of this you may already know, but just there could be some tidbits of information as just reminders, and then also something to think about during the time. We'll close out with Dr. Patty O'Brien to give us a little bit of information. May is Wild Mental Health Awareness Month. She's going to give us a little bit of information about that, and then also give us an update from the mental health summit that occurred in April. So with that, we're going to like I said, do a panel presentation this time, and we're going to start with Cole. He's from the Great Basin Smoke Jumpers, and he's going to talk about work-life balance. Go ahead, Cole.
All right, can everybody hear me okay? Get some verification.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Cole Simeon.
Can you turn it up just a little bit?
Sure. Is that an improvement? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound like you're muffled. Sorry.
Okay. Is that at all better?
Maybe just come closer to this. Maybe just close up and personal with everyone today. Thank you.
Okay, is that a little bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, hi everyone. My name is Cole Simeon. Like Jennifer said, I work in the training department with the Great Basin Smoke Jumpers. Thank you to Jennifer for the invitation to participate in this Fire Chat Friday. Among the links that I sent Jennifer was one that was just kind of an overview on work-life balance from the perspective of OPM. And one thing that I liked there, just to start things off at the top, is the OPM vision, which I think is just short, sweet, and helpful on what work-life balance is. It just says a world where people are their best at work, home, and in their communities. So short, sweet, and simple. So the vision is obviously universal for agency employees, whether primary or secondary fire. My background is with the Great Basin Smoke Jumpers, so that's primarily what I'm going to be speaking to, but obviously these things affect us all. So I just have 3 points and then a brief closeout. The first point is just recognizing the fundamental tension that is a part of work-life balance, and even the way that phraseology is structured recognizes that there's some tension between work and life, and those competing demands need to be balanced. So in the world of Boise Smoke Jumpers, our primary mission is aggressive initial attack. Our personalized home life and participation in community life are important and deserve their place. We can and are doing better, I think, as a culture, recognizing the value of commitments outside of fire. But I think we all recognize there will always remain a tension between these outside commitments and our primary mission as an initial attack resource. So I think it's just useful to lay that out up at the top, even though it's pretty basic and a reminder. For some people, that tension will ultimately be resolved by leaving fire entirely, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But of course, there is significant room for us to better support our folks and in the process retain and recruit talent and drive. So that's the first point I just wanted to emphasize, is that fundamental tension. It'll never go away, and we have to do the best that we can. Second point is just that work-life balance is highly specific to the individual. So work-life balance isn't going to look the same for every individual. Everyone's different. Many of us, including myself, were initially attracted to this job in wildland fire in the first place to work 1,000+ overtime hours a season, and then take the winters off and travel or fish and hunt or ski or spend time with our family and friends. And for some people, that's a balance between work and life. You work really hard during the summer. You don't have very many opportunities to spend life with friends and family during the summer, and then you have a lot of time off during the winter. Many of us, of course, eventually settle down and grow families and take on more traditional schedules, whether inside or outside the agency. And many of us operate somewhere in the middle. I know for myself that at this stage in my career, and for a lot of other folks in fire, we're still on the road during much of the summer. Our overtime hours are significant, though maybe not quite 1,000+ overtime hours. And our work will often extend into the winter. So I just wanted to emphasize that point as well. Work-life balance is something highly specific to the individual. And then third, just wanted to briefly go through how that balance works out for us and what it looks like at the Great Basin Smoke Jumpers. So during the winter, as you might expect, there's a lot of flexibility, whether it's full-time permanents who are working maxi, flex, or taking time off. The workload obviously isn't as all-consuming as it is for us during the summer. And then some of our seasonal employees just prefer to take the winters off. They've worked really long overtime hours doing initial attack or working on teams, and they prefer to take that time off. And that, of course, is perfectly acceptable. And then there are opportunities for permanent seasonals to take on more work as they wish. There's plenty of work to do during the winter, and some folks take advantage of that to pursue training opportunities or an EMT qual or loft work, sewing, repairs on parachutes, or what have you. Summer is obviously where the demands are the highest, and striking that balance between work and life is the most challenging. I would say there's been some development toward the positive and toward more flexibility in the culture here at Great Basin Smoke Jumpers. Traditionally, before I came in 2018, my understanding is the expectation was that you generally work 20 days at an outstation, jumping fires, being available, and then have 1 day off on the road, and then repeat that process pretty much all summer long. Now we're still on the road quite a lot, staffing outstations, being ready to initial attack fires, but it's generally 20 days on the road, 1 or 2 days off in place if that's what the individual prefers, because they'd like to remain in that location and they anticipate more activity, whatever their reasons are. Or the option, there's always an option to return to Boise for 2 or 3 or 4 days off as requested. So there is that flexibility. It's going to be different for every individual, and even for the same individual, they might want to take 1 day off in place, anticipating that there's other activity that they want to jump fires and they anticipate there being more activity, or maybe you've been gone for several weeks or over a month and want to get back home and take some more time off, and the culture is allowing for that enhanced flexibility. And then finally, there is opportunity in the spring before fire season gets going to put leave in the books for some planned event, or whatever, birth of a child, or a family vacation, or wedding, or what have you. So that's just really briefly going over some of the flexibility that we have to strike that work-life balance here in our program. And I just want to conclude on one point, and that is that programmatically, I know there's always going to be development and evolution, and that's important, but just on a micro scale, and something that I think we try to remind ourselves here is that one-on-one check-ins are important. I think it's important for the person who feels like they aren't striking that right work-life balance and need some more time off with their family to make sure they're communicating that. And likewise, I think the tone needs to be coming from supervisors as well, that that's okay, that you're not going to be judged negatively because you want to go back to Boise when there's a lot of fire activity, because you need that 2, 3, or 4 days or whatever it is with your family or friends, or just time to unwind. So that's a part of our culture that I think we've been improving at. There's still a gap between where we are and where we want to be, but that's something that we'll continue to try to work on. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cole. Appreciate that. And like you said, I think every district, every state office, wherever you're at, your crew has that balance that they're trying to strike. So definitely take his points on kind of how things are happening, but also to work within your district and your bounds on with finding that work-life balance. So appreciate Cole for taking the time from your busy schedule there at the Great Basin Smoke Jumpers, and for helping us out on the work-life balance piece. Next, we have Rob Haddock. Rob is from BLM, Idaho, the Twin Falls Dispatch Center. Go ahead, Rob.
Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yep, loud and clear. Thanks.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As Jennifer said, my name is Rob Haddock. I'm the center manager at South Idaho Dispatch for the Twin Falls District and Sawtooth National Forest. I'm going to talk to you guys today about rest and the importance of rest for us. So I think everyone knows how important getting sleep is for us in our positions, whether we're in suppression, whether we're in a support function like a dispatch or a cache, you're on a team, MLR, whatever the case may be. Anytime we start to get tired or exhausted and have that lack of sleep, we're prone to more mistakes, have a lack of focus, maybe we don't handle stress as well, can be moody, and so on and so forth. And those are all easy to pick up, but there's also the physical issues that a lack of sleep or getting quality rest can produce. And, you know, all these studies have shown over and over that continued lack of quality rest or quality sleep can greatly raise your risk of diseases and disorders, and those can include heart disease or stroke, dementia, so on and so forth. And so it's very important that when we do get that downtime, we're taking that the opportunity to get refocused and so on and so forth. And so for us, fire season, whether we're smack in the middle of it, gearing up for it, you know, long hours, stressful environment, you know, there are some things we can do to take advantage of trying to help us and get to that quality rest. And I would say, set yourself up for success. When you go to bed at night, don't fall asleep to the TV. Maybe create a good environment for yourself, whether that's darkening the room, maybe making it a little bit cooler, or having a fan on you, sound machine, if that little white noise in the background helps you sleep. But those kind of things help. And probably the most important, and everyone knows what I'm about to say, but it's these things. Our smart devices in bed, and I'm guilty of it, and I know some of the rest of you guys on this call are guilty of it as well. Of you finally get in bed at a reasonable time and think to yourself, oh, okay, I can catch up on Facebook or YouTube, and next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by and you're still awake. So if it's something you need to wean yourself off of, please try to set yourself a timer, 10, 15 minutes, that when that goes off, you guys have the self-discipline to kind of put it off to the side and really focus on getting as many hours of real sleep as we can that's not interrupted. Not just for the mental side that we talked about or the physical side, but your body just needs that time to repair itself. Your immune system, your circulatory system, they're working while we sleep to get rid of toxins, of waste in our body. So everything we do is going to kind of fall back on getting that proper rest, so to speak. So you know, in conclusion, we pick up very easily on the mental side of things. The physical, not so much, but as that is, be cognizant of our sleep cycles and our coworkers or the people you manage or supervise, and know when we can help manage some of the issues that might be occurring from continued lack of rest or good sleep, maybe getting them home early at a time, or making sure they have a full 2 days off to just sort of recover and get back to where we can focus and we're not going to make those mistakes. Other than that, thank you very much for your time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. Yeah, some of us have 2 of those devices, and definitely Rob's right. There's some things just to think about before you go to bed each night. I mean, we always tell our kids, turn your phones off, get your nose out of your phone. We need to take that advice too and do that. And then just take the time to rest. We know we all work long hours. People are on the hand crew, you're in dispatch, we're here in public affairs at NIFC. Just take a day, even if we just need to take 5 minutes out of the day, go take, you know, a walk break, get some rest, get away from the screens, and then take the time away from at home too, as well as going to bed early, turning those devices off, and get away from our screen time. So thanks, Rob, for those tidbits of information and that sharing of the rest, and I'm getting some good sleep. Next, we have Brogan Alexander. Brogan is going to talk to us about proper nutrition and physical fitness. Go ahead, Brogan.
All right, you guys got me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I'm Brogan Alexander. I'm an engine captain on the Twin Falls district here in Idaho. Today I'm going to be speaking on just some of the benefits of fitness and nutrition, not just for our fire folks, but our support staff as well. So our dispatchers, prevention folks, fuel staff, and so on. So I just kind of want to hit on, you know, 4 or 5 of the benefits of maintaining our fitness, and then 4 or 5 of the benefits of having a healthy, well-balanced diet, and then try to tie that into both the fire world and the support staff world. So starting off with fitness, you know, one of the benefits we get out of maintaining our fitness is improved endurance, right? So wildland firefighting can be a grueling job. We know, you know, that involves long hours of being on our feet and doing all kinds of different movements and carrying heavy weight in different terrain types. You know, we have really long days all the time. And I think we all have a pretty good understanding of the physical challenges of firefighting, but I think sometimes, you know, maybe we don't really think about or realize how much time our support personnel can also spend on their feet, you know, whether they're in the field collecting data on a fuel screw all summer or in a dispatch center, you know, and it's in peak fire season and there's multiple fires going on. So they're just constantly having to move around the office and doing all the things that they have to do to support us, you know, in order to make sure that we're able to function out there on the fire line. So definitely, you know, for all of us, just having a good regular exercise routine is really going to help maintain the endurance and that we need and allow us to work longer and more efficiently. Another one is reduced risk of injury. So we know that combining weight training and cardiovascular training, you know, doing proper stretching, that's all going to help us build and maintain strong muscles. We're going to have flexible joints and just in the bigger span of things, that's going to make us less prone to those strains and other little annoying injuries that occur, you know, on the job. So, and then obviously wildland firefighting puts us in environments where even walking can be a hazard, right? Like how many times a day you guys roll an ankle or hyperextend a leg in a stump hole or trip over a root or something, you know, it happens all the time. So And the other thing is the weight that we're often required to carry makes us even more susceptible to those types of injuries. You know, we're constantly bending over and picking up heavy objects. We could be running a saw for multiple hours, digging line or putting in hose lays, you know, all the fun stuff that we do. So just making sure that we're in proper shape before the season starts, and then during the season, when we can't stick to our exercise routines as much, I think just taking the time, before shift or during the shift if you can, and before you bed down at night, and take the time to kind of do some stretches and stay flexible. Just any little thing you can do like that's going to be pretty beneficial in preventing those little injuries. So better cardiovascular health is another one. Obviously, we know that firefighting requires a lot of cardio endurance, and we know that exercising regularly improves cardio health, and it just makes it easier for firefighters to handle the physical demands of the job, right? So, and for our support staff personnel, I think like things can slow down in the winter months, and you guys might not be able to get out in the field as often, or it's just that time of the year when you guys are kind of stuck in the office doing more paperwork and that kind of thing. And it's just important to allow yourself a little bit of time, to give your body some movement, just to maintain healthy circulation. I know, like, one example, a lot of us have the option nowadays to have the stand-up desks, which are great because that's just going to prevent you from having to sit in a chair for multiple hours a day. But just really try to get up every hour and walk and do some form of exercise, whether that's push-ups in your cubicle, using your office chair for dips, making sure you're stretching throughout the day. Really just any little thing you guys can do to keep the blood flowing is going to be good. And another really great benefit that comes from maintaining our fitness is improved mental health, right? So I don't think it matters whether you're in fire or in a sports staff role. I think at times all of our jobs can be really stressful. I think both sides experience a good deal with mental health issues. I know for me, exercise is huge, right? Like it helps me reduce my stress levels. My mood is improved from it. And I think personally, it's probably one of the most important things that I do to take care of my mental health. And another cool thing, that kind of relates to us is it's also been shown to boost cognitive function, which, I think sometimes with the amount of information that sometimes gets thrown at us and just constant moving parts that we're trying to deal with, that's a really important factor. And really, no matter what role we're in there. I have quite a few days when I walk into the office and I just look at my to-do list, on my whiteboard, and I'm like, I don't have the time to get a workout in today, but I've kind of found that just making it a priority and allowing myself just some time for some type of movement, even if it's just like, doing some pull-ups or push-ups or whatever it is, just makes me a lot more efficient throughout the day. And honestly, I'd never regret having taken the time to just do something. So to me, it's just surprising what even 15 minutes of like a brisk walk can do for your overall well-being. And then the last fitness benefit I'll touch on is it's just better teamwork. So as firefighters, we go through a lot before the season kicks off, obviously, just trying to make sure we're in shape and ready for the months ahead. Whether that's training to be a smoke jumper, going through critical on a hot shot crew, or training for the BLM Fitness Challenge, a lot of that time is going to be spent with those people who are going to be beside you for the summer, right? So going through some of those grueling workouts or PTs, whatever it is you're doing, going through the suck, as we say, you're going through the suck together and helping build that trust and create a stronger sense of teamwork and unity, right? And I also think it's a great way to just kind of help break the ice for some of the newer folks that are coming on for the year, and just help build that camaraderie with each other that you need. And for the folks that may be stuck in the office a little more, I think maybe just kind of holding each other accountable and coming up with some type of competition with each other that you guys can do, during work or even outside of work as well. Things like tracking you know, maybe who gets the most steps in a day or for the week or whatever, you know, if you guys have smartwatches, and I think a lot of us do these days, but just any little thing like that can be really beneficial to build teamwork through fitness. And then just moving on to nutrition. So obviously, you know, nutrition is an important aspect of overall health and fitness, especially amongst wildland firefighters, and really just anyone, you know, in a support staff role who's going to be required to work long hours with little downtime. We need to maintain our energy levels and performance during long and physically demanding shifts. And I think, you know, having a healthy diet is going to be crucial to do that. So just some real quick key points on nutrition. Number one, obviously, you know, the benefits of being adequately hydrated. You know, staying hydrated is crucial for wildland firefighters to perform at their best. You definitely don't want to be playing catch up on a fire, right? I mean, that's just something that's, you know, kind of pounded into our heads from day one. So we should aim to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water per day, and then more as temps get higher and as physical activities get higher as well too. So, and that's just going to help prevent all kinds of problems and situations that, you know, we don't want to run into on the fire line. But it's also just important to stay hydrated, you know, in your day-to-day life. Your body needs to be hydrated to function at its best. You know, if there's not enough liquid in your body, essential functions just don't perform as smoothly, you know, and I think it just makes some of the smaller tasks that we do, you know, that can become more difficult. So the next thing is the benefits of a balanced diet, and just some quick points on how to eat throughout the day. And again, this goes for all of us, you know, not just the fire guys and gals, but you know, so we all need to consume a well-balanced diet, and that's going to include, you know, those complex carbohydrates, those lean proteins, and healthy fats. Those carbohydrates are going to provide energy. Protein is going to help to repair and build muscle tissue, and then those healthy fats are going to help to keep energy levels stable. So I think anyone who's been in fire, you know, kind of knows that it's just not always the case when we're out there on assignment. I mean, it's pretty hard to eat healthy during fire season. A lot of the food that we're given, you know, in those brown bags or whatever, it's kind of full of sugar and really meant to hit more of a calorie quota. But one thing that helps me is just kind of packing my own snacks, you know, things like nuts, oatmeal, tuna packs, healthy protein bars. You know, those are all great options to replace some of the foods that we're given in those brown bag lunches. And they also kind of include some of those required nutrients that we need to, you know, help us perform more efficiently. So it's just important for everyone, you know, no matter what your job is, just to try and maintain a good, healthy diet. And in the long run, it's just going to help you perform better, both physically and mentally. So just kind of talking about how to eat throughout the day, you know, and this also goes for all of us. So just thinking about those pre-shift meals or breakfast. So we want to be eating a well-balanced meal before shift or before work, and that's just going to help us maintain energy levels throughout the day. And then just ensuring that those meals include, you know, the complex carbs, lean protein, and healthy fats. On-shift snacks. So kind of hitting on what I mentioned earlier, just try to carry snacks that are easy to eat and provide energy, right? So like things like trail mix, protein bars, fruit, you know, etc. Just and then trying to consume them regularly throughout the shift, you know, and that's just going to help maintain energy levels and also help keep your blood sugar regulated. So post-shift recovery or dinner, you know, after shift, we should always aim to consume a meal that, again, you know, including those complex carbs. We want to get that protein in to help repair and rebuild the muscle tissue that we've damaged throughout the day. And I know, you know, sometimes camp food can be, you know, it's not that great all the time, but it's just really important to replace the lost calories and be ready for the next day. So just, you know, eat what you can. And then the last thing is just avoiding excessive caffeine and sugar. You know, we know that caffeine and sugar can provide a quick boost of energy, which we often need in these jobs, but I think we also know that consuming too much can lead to a crash later on in the day. And I think that many of us in this community are probably guilty from, you know, one time or another of over consuming caffeine. You know I am. It's kind of one of my big vices and something that I need to pay more attention to myself. But the main point is that we should just aim to limit consumption of caffeine and sugar and try to focus more on that well-balanced diet that is going to provide that sustained energy that we need. So overall, wildland firefighters and our support staff alike should really try to focus on a well-balanced diet that provides adequate hydration, getting those complex carbs, that lean protein and healthy fats. And by doing that, we're going to improve our overall health and fitness, maintain the energy levels that we need and perform our best during those physically demanding shifts. So we should also strive to maintain our physical fitness, because it really is essential for all of us, in order to be able to perform our duties effectively and safely, and then just help us stay in top form, to be better equipped to handle the challenges of the job. And that's really all I have on nutrition and fitness, and hopefully you all got something out of this, or it just serves as a good reminder before the season. But I have provided some links for anyone who's interested in checking them out. And there's some great websites and apps, where you can go in and find some good workout plans and nutrition information that correlates some of it directly to wildland fire. And then some of the apps are really helpful with getting you to stick to a fitness plan. You can track your macros for anybody who's interested in that. And then there's some apps that you can track your food intake, and they kind of help you change the way that you think about food and nutrition, which is really helpful. So again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about some of this. And I hope you guys all have a safe and healthy season and stay injury free. And then hopefully I'll see you guys out there this summer. So thank you.
Thanks, Brogan. Appreciate that. All these links that people are talking about, we'll make sure that they will be added to the follow-up email next week that will have this video link, so you can look at those apps. Great information shared. We all need some extra information and guidance and knowledge on nutrition and fitness, even for everybody across the board, no matter if you're in the fire line or actually if you're in a support role. Getting up out of your desk, walking around, drinking lots of water, getting good rest, all of that is important to our BLM wildland fire community as a whole. Next, we have Troy Sanders with the BLM Utah Bonneville Hotshots. He's going to talk about building and maintaining crew, team, and office cohesion. Thanks, Troy.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep, sound great.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. On the road, headed back home for days off. So stopping to take this opportunity to jump in with this fire chat. Thank you for having me. My name is Troy Sanders, Bonneville Hotshots, 8th season with the crew. And I'll be talking about crew cohesion, the benefits of it, and how it takes it through the season and even into the off season. So yeah, the crew cohesion, it starts the first day the crew comes in through the door. And in the wildland community, we are expected to perform at a higher standard as a team. And so it's important to start building that cohesion that first day and making everybody feel welcome. We've been really fortunate to have a high retention rate on the crew. So it's just like this family, a bond that just gets stronger every year. And this year we have a few new people on the crew. And so, with that, it's making them feel welcomed instantly as soon as they come in, especially from an overhead standpoint. It can be intimidating coming into a new place, new atmosphere, new culture, coming from an engine program or a type 2 crew or helitack onto a shot crew. And letting them know that they're welcomed, that we're happy to have them there, and that, as overhead, we're simply people as well. We are only in our positions because we have the higher skill sets and experiences from the job that have allowed us to be in these positions. And so creating that bond with them, that we're simply people as well, and we're happy to have them. And yeah, I think that's so important the first day. And with a critical 80, we're on this time frame of the check boxes, getting things done, making sure that we're meeting those standards, and also allowing time for different type of cohesions. The cohesion can be broken down into a few different segments. There's the social relations, there's the task relations, on the job duty skill sets, the unity and emotional. With the critical 80s, we have to jump straight into those tactical skill sets, checking all the boxes off. And during that time, you can start to see individuals' strengths, weaknesses, and begin building off of that. And it allows people to start working together. This person might have this strength here, a rookie might have an exceptional strength here that I might not have. And when time comes, I need to remember that. And that person can be used in certain situations where they're stronger than myself, or a lead or a senior, someone that's been around a while. And so, after all that intensive skill set training, the PTing, feeling each other out, seeing where everyone's skill sets are, it's important to take a day or a couple days, depending on what requirements are needed, and but to step back and allow for a more of a emotional, spiritual connection, like doing things like go play some volleyball or play some softball. Once we meet our standards and we know we're ready to go out the door, we take that time to go play some volleyball, play some softball, and it allows the crew to interact in a different way, where there's no tension of the skill sets, and maybe some have to feel like they have to prove themselves in a certain way. And so, it allows everybody to step back out of that role and be in the moment a little bit more, and lighthearted, and laugh and have those side conversations. And you start learning about individuals, their lives. And it brings everybody closer, reminding each other that we all have backgrounds, that we're all human beings, and we're here for the love of the job. And I think it's just so important to keep that spiritual, emotional connection, cohesion as a crew together as you go into the season. You get on those roles and assignments where you're just being drugged through the ground night and day, sometimes 20-hour shifts, multiple shifts. And, you look to that person to the left of you, to the right of you, and you know that they're going to show up for you. You know that they're hurting, and you're both putting that foot forward, getting the task done. And it's those moments when you start to see individuals, and we talked about this work-life balance, and on the job and on the fire lines. And once you have that tight cohesion, you can start to see when individuals on the crew aren't doing well. And being able to see that and identify it and just simply ask them, hey, are you okay, shows another connection. They're being seen, that they see you, that you're not alone. Maybe you have something going on back home and you're having a hard time talking about it. You're not mentally present on the fire line. And so it's important to have that cohesion and that brotherhood, the sisterhood, the experiences together that are built, that bring us all together on a level that can't be really expressed to anybody else that hasn't been there or in the fire world, in the community. Just one of those things that is experienced and felt. And so it's just so important to build that relationship, and knowing that you have people that are going to show up with you, for you, and all the way up to the last day of the season or that last month, and knowing that we all get cranky and September comes around, and each other's buttons, and sometimes it's fun to poke at them, but realizing that maybe that person needs some space or needs to be seen or talked to, or having that personal relationship, that bond. And just remembering that, especially when you go into the off season, that you leave these individuals and sometimes you feel alone, or just this re-immersion into everyday life from the fire season that can be a really hard transition for some people. And remembering that you have that connection with your crew members, your squad boss to captains, soups to captains, and there's somebody always there for you that has experienced some of the same things and that you can turn to in that off season, knowing that someone's always going to be there for you when things are hard. And I think that's one of the most important things about crew cohesion, is knowing that you're going to have this connection for a lifetime. You cannot talk to them for a few years because you go different directions in your fire career, and you talk to them later and it's like nothing's ever changed. There's that unity, there's that trust, there's that laughter, there's a bond that can't be broken. And when the crew cohesion is done well and in a healthy atmosphere, it can't be broken, and it's something that's always remembered. And so I think that's so important as you go into the season to build that, carry it through the season, and knowing when it's time to go home and start recovering mentally, physically, that you have those people you can turn to, and not to be afraid to pick up the phone if you need help and check in on each other, see how you're doing, and talk about life, and not let those relationships fall off to the wayside. So that's what I have for crew cohesion. So many aspects to it, and I just think it's so important, and to not forget one another as the season starts to trickle away.
Thank you, Troy. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to build crew cohesion and team building. I've used one example, I'll provide one example. We had a fire prevention team in Idaho Falls, and we went to an escape room after that first initial day of trying to build that crew cohesion or team building that we were going to have for the next week. You can do ropes courses, you can do scavenger hunts, all kinds of stuff that you can to help build that initial crew cohesion, or kind of continue it, maybe bring it back together during a busy fire season. So various ways to keep team building and crew cohesion before fire season, during, and then maybe even keeping it afterwards, just to kind of keep in touch. So appreciate that, Troy. And safe travels back to Bonneville, to your home station. Next, we have Christina Phillips.
Yeah.
Christina Phillips is from BLM, Nevada. She's going to give us a little bit of that admin preparedness and make sure that your emergency contact sheet is updated. Thanks, Christina.
All right. Well, I'm going to switch things up a little bit for some less exciting or heartfelt items here. So sorry about that. But just some reminders on the exciting world of administrative responsibilities and HR responsibilities. When stuff happens to your position or to your pay, of course, it never happens at an opportune time, right? So I just really want to encourage you guys to take advantage of the opportunity when things are a little bit slower, to make sure that you're checking off some items, to make sure that you are, successful when something could potentially go wrong. The first off, you probably within your district, within your program, have submitted emergency contact forms. A copy of those should also be going to HR. On top of that, double checking, making sure that your beneficiary information is all up to date, and that's all been submitted to HR as well. If you have the chance, go to your Employee Express account and make sure that everything is shown correctly. Your pay is important. And again, in the middle of the season is probably not the greatest time that you want to be messing around with that stuff and making corrections, but making sure that the grade and your step and your hourly rate is correct, that your overtime earnings are coming out correctly, your contributions are set up right, any of your elections are showing. And another really important one is that your address that is listed is correct. If you have any issues with those, please reach out to, you should have an HR liaison on your district, or, feel free to reach out to your HR office and get those corrected as soon as you can. Also with that, every employee, regular employee, should have access to your EOPF account, right? And that's where all of your SF50 personnel actions are located. For folks who just came back from non-pay status, you should have an action in there bringing you back to pay status. For folks who recently got promoted or recently got hired, you should have an action in there for your new appointment, right? Double check that. Make sure your grade and step on there is listed correctly. All of this stuff affects your earnings. Make sure your duty location is correct. Making sure your retirement is set correctly. Just really, digging through that information, taking the time line by line, and just making sure that stuff is correct. Lastly, if you are a new employee, remember, if you haven't already, you do have a certain time period to make your elections for your healthcare benefits, and all of your elections rather. So make sure you get that done. And then on top of that, I do, if you're a supervisor with new employees, I encourage you to get this information out to your crew members to make sure that they're taking care of their stuff. Like I said, the last thing you want to do is have to deal with this when you're, on incident, and it's affecting your pay. So please take advantage of the time. Go through all of your paperwork and all of your accounts, and just make sure everything is looking the way that should be. So that's pretty quick and easy, and that's all I got.
All right, thanks, Christina. Yeah, it's not as fancy or flashy as some of the other information that we were sharing, but definitely important and critical. I want to make sure all of that paperwork, like Christina mentioned, is up to date, has a emergency contact, has all of your information with the pay and everything that's happening. Please just always check those, make sure everything is right in order. And if you have questions, do not hesitate to contact the people that can help you get that information updated and get all of that stuff up to date before you guys go on your first role, go on your first assignment, wherever you guys head out to, going into the field. Let's make sure all that stuff is up to date and ready in case it's needed. Like she said, at not the good time. Christina, thank you very much. And then our last speaker is Dr. Patty O'Brien. Patty is the BLM Fire Mental Health and Wellbeing Manager. Thanks, Patty, for joining us today.
Thank you, and thanks to everybody for sharing such great information about different ways we can help to get ready for fire season. And I appreciate that all the components together really address sort of a big picture, a holistic picture. And I'm going to talk mostly about mental health, but I just want to acknowledge that all the parts that were mentioned today are part of that. So mental health is part of our overall health, and that includes our sleep and diet and exercise, our relationships, our work environments, and also all our pay and all the stuff that came up today. I wanted to mention that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So during the month of May, there are many efforts nationwide through different organizations and I guess awareness projects to increase conversation and awareness about mental health experiences. And this is an important thing, I guess, both within our community and then nationwide, because historically there's been a lot of stigma around talking about mental health, and we're starting to see some big changes in this, which is fantastic. So, recently, even in the news, we're seeing public figures talk more openly about their mental health experiences, professional athletes, politicians, just acknowledging some of the human aspects of their own experiences in their work, in their lives. And it's important to do that because I think it normalizes and humanizes experiences that are very common, that sometimes aren't always talked about openly. And we need those conversations because we know that mental health experiences are common, they cause suffering, and that people benefit from help and support. And there's a lot of resources out there that are available. And within our wildland fire community, mental health is something that we've, I think, really focused on having conversations around, not just during the month of May, but year round. And we know that wildland fire folks, people working across our communities, experience challenges navigating transitions, life roles, all sorts of changes that happen as the fire season changes also. So during fire season, post season, the winter off season, pre-season, all those can be pretty big life changes and present some unique demands to folks. So right now, BLM is working, we're a lot of states. So I think California, Nevada, Wyoming, Montana, Dakotas, Alaska, Oregon, Washington, and others are hosting pre-season mental health education right now to help people sort of make that transition and help make plans to get prepared and get ready for sort of an optimal mental and health and physical health experience across the fire season. That's something that's been happening for a while and that we hope to continue to expand. We're also hoping to facilitate conversations, at different points of the year, also post-season, and then also some ways to engage with folks in the winter time as well. So looking at both developing some different points of contact and resources nationally, and then also supporting folks to develop resources and points of contact at the local level as well. I did want to give an update about one part of sort of the bigger picture landscape of mental health and physical health for fire, and that is that there was a joint mental health and well-being summit that happened here in Boise last month. So for some context, the Department of Agriculture and Department of Interior are working together to develop a joint behavioral health program that will serve federal firefighters across the agencies. This was part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So the joint program kicked off the development of the program with a 3-day summit, and folks at the summit discussed a lot of information about what's known as far as wildland firefighter physical and mental health, about different models that serve different types of responder populations that exist in other communities, and work to identify some, I guess, priority components of framework to be addressed by the joint program. So some of those themes were things like having, a need for access to clinical services that address trauma, having assistance to find appropriate care and services within our systems. And then also, really the need to address some of the unique cultural components and occupational aspects that are part of our wildland fire culture. So more to come. The joint program is looking at that information and as they continue to develop the program. So stay tuned. And I just wanted to close out with just a couple things. So, folks today talked a lot about different ways that we can help support our own well-being and support those around us. And, thinking about May as both mental health awareness month, and then also this period of, pre-season transitioning to an operational mode. I would say also that we can all be advocates in our communities at our local level with our friends and family for mental health by learning about mental health, by leading by example, by walking the walk, walking the talk, which means taking good care of ourselves, and watching, looking at the ways that we communicate about mental health, about the experiences of others. So sometimes a look, a joke, can be really impactful to the people around us. People notice. And by learning about resources that are available to us, and by being a good peer, by being a good friend, by being a good family member. So practicing good active listening, by keeping things confidential, by paying attention to how people are doing, by checking on them, and knowing when to reach out for help if you're really concerned about somebody. So when you don't keep things confidential, so that would be in the event that a person is really in a situation where they're at risk of harming themselves or someone else, in which case you would contact the 988 line or help them get to an emergency room. So we can all be advocates, and sometimes I think our most immediate influence is on those people closest to us and the people around us. So I just appreciate the opportunity to talk with everybody, and look out for each other, and take good care of each other.
Thanks, Dr. Patty. Appreciate that. And I want to give a shout out to all of our speakers today and presenters. So appreciate you joining us. We do have a couple of minutes for questions. I did post in the chat. If there's any questions you want to go ahead and put them in there, and we'll get those answered. We are running up against time, but we had a lot of great information, a lot of great speakers that shared some points as we're preparing for fire year 2023. So thank you everyone for taking the time. The speakers want to turn their cameras back on so we can give them a virtual high five for taking the time out of their busy schedules and just providing us some great information. So thanks everyone for speakers for joining us today and providing that information. Give a little bit of information for that, but just wanted to say our next Fire Chat Friday is scheduled for June 9th. We're going to be talking a little bit more serious and a little bit great information on SAIs, or serious accident investigations, and the CISM program. We'll have another panel of SMEs and experts to give us some information. Really the intent of that is to talk about the processes, why we have those in place, and really what comes out of those. And then also we are asking for kind of a recruitment if folks want to join the SAI teams or join CISM with Dr. Patty. We'll have a little bit more information on how that can go about as well. Looking to see if there's any questions in the chat. I don't see anything, just a lot of shout outs and thank you. We will follow up next week as we always do with the recording of this, as well as the links and information that was shared through today's session. So again, thanks everyone for joining today. Have a wonderful week. Have a safe fire year 2023. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to shout out. But thanks everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.